Well, what are you going to do about this stock?
I'm keeping it. I'm going down with the ship.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about Ilus. We are in process of getting the interview done. I told him, hey, I'm more of a quick and to the point kind of guy. I would like to ask questions regarding the company, the future financials, the RTO, and so much more. I'm thinking I prepare a script for you so that you can look it over, and once that's approved, we can move forward with the interview, which should take less than 20 minutes. I'm not a big fan of hour-long discussions. Should be short, sweet, to the point. That is how my subscribers like it. Let me know what you think. Sure, send over your script and we can discuss it further and arrange it from there. So that's what's going on. It's a work in progress. I have the first draft in a Word document, so it's just a matter of time. I'll probably get it done today, send over the script, and then we can go from there. So definitely anticipate an interview with the CEO or director of Ilus. I know the Ilus Discord is shaking right now that they did not want this, and they totally thought like no, these guys are gonna want to interview. Are you kidding me? Are you? Why wouldn't they? It's free PR. Ilus files Form 10K and provides shareholder update. This is from yesterday. We didn't go over it. We went over the 10K, but let's go over the actual update here, the actual PR. There's some interesting stuff in here that we didn't actually get to touch on in the 10K. So let's go over it. Ilus was delayed in the filing. Yep, we know it was delayed in the filing. Ilus has experienced a significant impact on its balance sheet, resulting in a net loss recorded on its income statement. Despite the setback, Ilus is now at a... Okay, so that's why I dumped, I guess. Whatever. It's not a big deal. It's now on a positive footing following QND's recent acquisition of Al-Shola Gas and the more recent expansion of its ERT subsidiary within its own publicly listed special purpose vehicle, SAML. It is noteworthy for an OTC markets listed company that Ilus has been able to accumulate over $62 million in total assets, with net assets of over $32 million in the face of exceptionally challenging market conditions. We remain on track to uplist both industrial and ERT subsidiaries to a senior stock exchange in the short to medium term, which is interesting. They're saying in the short to medium term, yet in the 10K they mentioned specifically in the first half of this year, so they only got really like 2 months. So it's why even use the term short to medium term and then tell us that it's going to happen in the first half of this year? That's kind of weird. In this regard, senior publicly traded companies are visiting Dubai next week to tour facilities as part of their final due diligence stage. This is just a whole bunch of... Okay, Ilus has incurred significant write-downs and losses during the process of consolidating its subsidiaries and operating businesses. These losses are a direct result of the integration and restructuring of the acquired businesses. The net operational costs have increased as Ilus strives to drive the growth of its operating business and complete planned uplistings. To facilitate this, Ilus has augmented senior level management. Anything juicy in here? Because it's just kind of a bunch of stuff we already knew. Ilus is working diligently to mitigate the associated costs while maximizing value for its stakeholders. You know, this is very interesting. I'm going to mention something right now. Let me just continue. Let me just finish this real quick. Ilus acquired SAML to function as a SPV. After the acquisition, yeah, we know Samuel's going to get a new name and all that. Okay, we already know most. This is kind of very repetitive stuff we already knew. They kind of just copy and paste from their previous PR and just throw it on there, I guess. The strides Ilus took during the first quarter of 2024. The company's clearly anticipating the submission of its forthcoming quarterly report. So the quarterly report is still coming. That's going to be the big one. That's going to be interesting to see what comes of that. We already got a sell-off anyways, so I could see us getting a run on Ilus, but we'll see. It's its subsidiaries that are going to uplist, so those are the ones that are going to be moving as well, or at least that's what people anticipate. Okay, they're going to issue a dividend. We already know that. This announcement expected... Yeah, it's going to be announced shortly. We already know that from 10K. The company has been unable to complete several planned acquisitions due to capital raising challenges. Furthermore, both Ilus subsidiaries are expecting to close significant additional acquisitions following their respective uplist. These are larger deals where extensive negotiations have been taking place and are lined up for completion. Here's the one thing I wanted to mention as I was reading this. When they uplist their subsidiaries, there's two things that we have to take into account. Okay, so when an uplist happens, let's just look at Mullen as an example, because they love to reverse split on their shareholders. So when an uplist happens, there's three things that could happen. Number one, it uplists, it gets beat over the head back under $1. They have to reverse split, and that just ultimately screws the shareholders to no fault of their own. Really, it's just if we get beat over the head, I mean, you're gonna see this. You're gonna see this Mullen-like movement where we just continue to fall back down to under $1, and we just lose money. And longs get absolutely destroyed. If you don't believe me, just ask a Mullen shareholder. So that's the one thing we don't want. The second thing that can happen is we uplist and we kind of just go sideways. We find a floor, a bottom, ground, and we just hover there, and eventually we kind of just get our pops here and there. So essentially what's happening right now, you look at Ilus, it's kind of just going sideways right now. We're probably going to retest, 005? I would anticipate that. At least that's what I'm waiting for, so I can load up my biggest position. We're going sideways right now, and that's still a good thing, because it's bottomed out. And that if we uplist and bottom out on the subsidiaries, that's a win. That's already a win. Even if we bottom out at $1, it's still a win because we don't have to get reverse split on. Okay? So think about that for a second. The best thing that can happen, and I mentioned this in one of my videos, the best thing that can happen is these subsidiaries uplist. We get a nice little pop, a nice little run, and then over the long term, let me switch to the monthly chart on NVIDIA. Over the long term, we continue to slowly but surely grow. Over the course of 20 years, you see the subsidiaries go from $1 to $5, $10, $20, and so on and so forth. That would be the best case scenario. Now, the one thing that they did mention in that PR, something noteworthy, is that they have some acquisitions ready to be made upon uplisting, which means they're uplisting and they have some acquisitions, some catalysts. And I think they're doing that because they know they can't just uplist and hope for the best. They got to have some kind of fuel, momentum, not only going into it, but also after the uplist is done. Because if you have no momentum, then more than likely it's just going to go down, right? So you want to do everything you can to not only make sure that the uplist is successful, but also have the momentum, not only going into it, but also coming out of it. That way we don't just dump under $1 and get reverse split on over and over and over again. And I think that's what they're doing. I'm sure they're not stupid. I'm sure they're not. I would hope that they have a game plan in place to try to, like I said, to try to mitigate any possible downside. And as long as we find a floor or we grow over the long term, I think Ilus has a lot of potential here, despite the current downtrend that it's in. We've been here before. We've been here since, 2021? Yeah, since, when did it top out? Yeah, late 2021. We've been here for a long time. We know how this works. We know it's a game of patience. That is it for the video.